welcome back to Raised by Giants, where we talk all things spirituality. I'm Ryder Lee. Tonight's guest is Nina the Mystic. But before I introduce her, be sure to check out Honey Colony website for amazing products like Superior CBD, Colloidal Silver Elixir and Maker, energy supplements, health and beauty products, and a bunch of other really great ethically sourced products. And if you use promo code RBG10, you'll get 10% off your entire order. Check the links in the description. Also, if you would like to make a donation to help the channel grow and produce more content, you can donate on PayPal or buy me a coffee to help support my work. It is 100% completely optional, but check the links in the description for donation options. Without further ado, introducing tonight's guest is Nina the Mystic. Nina was born and raised in Norway and has a strong connection to the Norse mythologies, but work with lots of different deities as well as angels and demons. She works with the balance of both light and dark and do not conform to either white magic or dark magic, but rather a balance of both. She started reading books as well as attending several workshops on various spiritual teachings, as well as joining weekly spiritual development classes. She felt as though she had to catch up first, as she could not get enough. Nina quickly became aware of her unique abilities as clairsentience, clear feeling and sensing, clear touch, and clear knowing. Nina can also feel and sense spirit around her at all times and has learned to use this in her readings. She felt guided to use tarot cards as well as the use of oracle cards and pendulum. Nina feels passionate about her spiritual awakening and loves to teach others. She also likes to help people and finds that a reading will help people get clarification on things going on in their lives to help them see things that maybe they had looked over, as well as get answers to questions. Hello, Nina. It's great to have you here. Thanks so much for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. And thank you so much for having me on, Ryder. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to the discussion here tonight. And thought I would bring you on because I've been on your show a couple of times, and I very much appreciated you having me on and sharing my presentations and everything. So yeah, I thought we would just kind of start out here tonight and a little bit on your journey and how you kind of got doing what you're doing and creating your YouTube channel and doing your readings.
Yeah, so my journey, really started later in life. Like I said in the bio, I was, married, kids, the whole shebang, kind of kept me kind of busy, too busy to really, focus on what else is going on in the world. It was all just about me and my family. But then once the kids kind of grew up, teenagers, all that kind of stuff, I started, thinking about, other things in life and kind of, a few things kind of happened. I don't know how much you want to go into because I got some real doozy kind of stories about the beginning, because I was spiritually attacked for the first 40 years of my life. So that's a whole, I don't know if your audience are kind of ready for all of that kind of stuff.
Like spiritually attacked and like by like an entity?
Yeah, so I can remember the earliest I can remember was like as a 4-year-old. Having that intense fear, being paralyzed. The scientists like to call it sleep paralysis. I think there's more to it than that. Actually, I know there's more to it than that. And feeling, some evil presence kind of there. I also remember feeling a cold hand on my stomach. That was sort of the first kind of incident that I can remember. But pretty much ever since then, so my whole life, pretty much up until I figured it out now when I was in my 40s, I could never sleep on my back. As soon as I would lay down on my back, it would start up, and they attack kind of your solar plexus area. And so that leads me to believe that that's where our soul or spirit or whatever resides, because that's what they're trying to attack. And so I always had to sleep on my side and, be in a defensive kind of position. But they would try and do this probably 3-4 nights out of the week, if not almost nightly. It would be happening. But I would just kind of shrug her off, just go about my day and just pretend that didn't happen kind of thing.
Was there like did you see things whenever you were in the sleep paralysis, or was it just being paralyzed?
Yeah, I never saw anything. It was you were like paralyzed. You couldn't scream. So even though, yeah, my spouse was right next to me, you're paralyzed. You can't say, you can't scream, you can't do anything, but you're fully, completely awake. And sometimes you can feel them in the room. You can feel them, right around you, or they're literally trying to get inside you, like they're literally trying to attack your spirit, your being. So yeah, so once I got a little bit older, I'm like, so actually what it was is I had a huge incident that happened that kind of made me like, okay, that's it. And that was actually a full manifestation. This thing was actually a full, like a being like you and I. And it was in my room. So I'm paralyzed. I'm laying on my side, of course, right? And I usually have my hand up like this. This is how you kind of sleep, right? With your hand there. This being came right up behind me. Physical being, and my hand was here, and he puts his hand inside mine like this, and I could feel fingers like it was a real person. And but so anyway, so yeah, you did that, and then the only thing I was able to do was kind of reach up with the one finger, kind of like that, and then he took off. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back there with me. With that, I'm like, that's it, I'm going to start talking about it, start asking around other people, are you guys experiencing this kind of stuff? Like, I even asked my son, like, did you notice anything last night? Because this was going on all night. I couldn't sleep all night after that incident. Like, you could feel that energy was in the room the whole night. It was bad. So no, everybody I talked to, no, nobody seemed to have sort of the same kind of thing. So I went on the internet and started searching and researching, and that's how I started on my journey, really. Kind of got away from Christianity because, was kind of in that kind of thing, in the past. Kind of got away from that and just basically got into groups. I started studying, reading books, all kinds of things, and start learning. And I figured out the trick is, so for anybody who's listening that kind of is resonating with this, I'm having these kind of things. The thing that works, and praying to Jesus does not work. Okay. Matter of fact, that will just make it worse. Okay. These things will just laugh at you. Laughter, however, is the key. So if you can just go beyond that fear and just start laughing at them, it disappears. I've never been attacked now since I've started doing that. So, if anything ever happened, I just start laughing at it, goes away. So that is definitely a trick. But yeah, that was pretty intense. That was 40 years of that. So
I've
yeah.
always heard that the Lord's Prayer, there's something with the Lord's Prayer, like it's in a certain cadence or it has a certain vibration to it that wards off like attacks and stuff like that. Have you heard anything about that?
No, if anything, the Lord's Prayer, what you're doing that is you're allowing this Yahweh or whatever, whoever this being that we were worshiping, right? That you call God, you're allowing it to take your soul. If I should die tonight, you have my permission to take my soul. That's what you're doing. That's what you're saying when you do the Lord's Prayer. So don't ever do that. You don't want to be given over anything to anybody or anything for that matter. Because this God has a name, and if a God has a name, you can control it. That's another thing about the spirits, they never give out the real names, but yeah, so no, I would say no. To that.
What's your understanding of what sleep paralysis is now? Because I've experienced it a couple of times, and my first time was sort of like yours. Like I felt a cold hand on the middle of my back, and then like on my lower back, and I couldn't move. I was completely paralyzed. I was laying on my right side. I actually wasn't on my back when this happened to me. I was on my right side, and I heard like whispering, and my blinds were just like going back and forth. Like something was there, and it was touching me. And I was almost to the point where I was like hyperventilating. Like I couldn't breathe. It was exactly like what you're saying. I couldn't speak. And it eventually lifted somehow. I don't know how. And then my second time was different. It was visual. It was kind of like what you're talking about with the man. There was a lot of visuals that were in it. But what is your understanding now that it's been all this time? What do you think sleep paralysis is? Is it a single entity? Does it only happen to specific people at certain times, or like what's going on with it?
I do feel that, people like you and I, are, like, okay, so let's go with time. There's no such thing as time. It's kind of like in a loop. So what we're going to be doing in our future, it's already happened. These spirits know that. And I think people like you and I who have, are out there and probably are going to be doing things, good things, they're going to attack you from the day you're born because they know what you're going to be doing. So take it as a compliment, really, that they're even bothering with you. And yes, I do believe that it literally a spiritual entity attack. Now, when I say that, I think, or I don't think, what I believe is that is interdimensional beings are coming through. That's how they're coming through. And so it's not like aliens. Some people, with the whole alien thing, I don't think that that's what it is. I think it's interdimensional and they're able to get through. And it seems like the veils are thinning. It's easier to come in and out, so yeah, take it as a compliment that they're even bothering, and like I said, instead of being fearful, just tell it that, and laugh at it because they hate that. They can't stand it. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to do then because now you got control over the situation. So
Yeah, sending a love or laughing or something like that always tends to break
yeah.
the
Well,
break
laughter
them
is
up.
kind of a love frequency,
Yeah.
right? You just, but sometimes it's hard to kind of get going. But once you just do it anyways, fake it till you make it. So even though you're scared, it is a very frightful experience, So it's kind of like, well, how can I do that? I'm so scared right now. But yeah, just fake it till you make it. Just start. And once you get going with that laughter, it is a love frequency and they can't stand it. They can't be in it. So yeah.
I think that's good for any situation, honestly. Like
Pretty much.
depression, anxiety, anything that you're going through, just laugh. That's going
Or even the
to.
bully at the schoolyard, if you want to go back to that, is basic. If you just start laughing at him, he's not going to know what to do with that because he wasn't expecting that. That's not something that, So yeah, definitely.
So, what was your switch from? Because you said that you were kind of raised in Christianity. What flipped within you? Because you said that you were raised in Norway in your bio, and in the Norse mythology. Did that have anything to do with you flipping from Christianity into a? Well, I don't think that you necessarily believe in anything. There isn't any set blanketed system that you believe in, but how did the switch from Christianity happen with you?
I guess it really started when I started going online then and getting involved and learning and reading and realizing. And I think the first thing that really struck me was when I realized that church and state are holding hands. That's when I kind of realized, oh yeah, it's all, and it just kind of tumbled, once I started learning, but the other side, that's the thing, as a Christian, whatever, we're told that, oh yeah, you don't want to be looking into that. Oh, you don't want to be, because they don't want you doing that because then they're going to realize that it's all BS. So once you start looking into the occult and reading the books and learning and all that kind of, you're going to quickly come to realize that, yeah, but having that said, though, I mean, I've had several spiritual deaths and rebirths, and I actually did fall back into Christianity for a few months, almost like a year. And that was back in 2015 when I woke up. Yeah, a lot of people kind of got into that whole woke thing, the whole Pizzagate and all these things were going on. And so I kind of woke up to all of that kind of stuff. And that actually kind of scared me back into Christianity for a hot minute, just because of all the blood moons and everything that's written in that book, in the Bible, it is coming to pass. So the Christians, in one sense, are right. We are at the end times here. This is kind of what's happening. But luckily, I went in there and I ended up in the fringe community. So the fringe woke, that kind of community. And I'm glad I did, because I did study. I found out a lot of information in there that I otherwise wouldn't have, that I was able then to bring to the table again as I, came to realize that, yes, that Bible, there are some things in there that it is coming to pass. But I've also come to realize that book was written and the script is just being played out now. So that's what's happening. So luckily I was able to get in and get out. But, you know, every time you do that, you lose everyone, all your friends, your family completely lose respect. They don't know what's going on, you know, and then you got to rebuild all over again. So I've done that several times. So it's not easy. It's definitely taken a toll, but boy, have I learned a lot in the last decade, you know. So I'm grateful for that, honestly, you know. Yeah. I
So
don't know if
do
I
you,
answered your question here or not, but
yeah. So do you practice magic? Is that something that you do? Talk to us about magic. I'm very interested
yeah. Oh, yeah.
in
Going
this
back to
topic.
the Norse. So in Norway, like we say we're Christian because we have to. We were literally forced into Christianity 2,000 years ago. As you know, we were literally killed if we didn't.
Mhm.
So all of us will say that we are, because if we don't, we can't get married. There's a lot of things we can't do if you don't get baptized, if you don't get confirmated, and you won't be able to get married in church. You know, all this kind of thing. They force you to become it. But, you know, we still celebrated our old pagan ways. It was just now called Easter. Is now called Christmas. But we're still actually kind of celebrating our old pagan ways. And some more cautiously of it than others, but we were, right. So that wasn't a big switch. We always were very honored, you know. We still talked about the old gods and all that kind of stuff. Like if you look into our homes there, you'll see the little statues, you'll see the little this and that and the other thing from the Norse mythologies. We never gave it up. Less, you know. So it's always been with me, you know. I always felt drawn to that, obviously. And then now that I'm working, you know, I have a little altar for my Nordic gods. They're right there, you know, and light candles and do the same kind of things. I give offering at the winter solstice, you know. So yeah, and I do use magic, you know, for sure. You know, intention settings, that's magic, you know, all these kind of things, right? Whether you're aware of it or not, I think a lot of us are doing it. And yeah, so yes.
Yeah, I think magic has really been exaggerated in a way, right? A lot of people think that, oh, well, if you're doing magic, you have to be doing it a certain way. But I think that a lot of people are practicing magic every single day, like through manifestation,
Mhm,
you know, through a lot of, you know, imagination is another way that you can, you know,
mhm.
use magic. And then there's, you know, the ritual type magic. You know, I think there's many different forms of magic. You know, like there's you burn candles. Candles mean a certain thing. You have your altar. You have your square. You chalk. Like it's all like
Mhm.
a big thing, but it's been really demonized. Like it's been taken. If you're practicing magic, then you must be black magic. It must be dark magic. You must be doing something wrong, right? But
Exactly.
I think people need to kind of flip that perspective and realize that there is light magic as well.
Yeah, you know, people don't realize. I mean, if you go back to Christianity, into the church that you go to, there's an altar there, right? So, and then the church does actually blood magic. They believe that by the blood they're saved, and they do a ritual every month called, you know, the thing that I can't remember what it's called now. I used to do it all the time. Maybe drink the
Sacrament.
blood, so, yes, and eat his flesh. I mean, talk about gross, you know, black magic going on. The church is the worst once you start looking back at what they're doing there, right? When you think about it. So yeah, and you know, if you can grasp that you have a guardian angel, or you know that there's an afterlife, you know, why wouldn't you want to start establish a relationship with that? Because we are all going to be going there eventually, you know. So just, you know, lighting a candle and saying thank you to your spiritual team, your guardian angel that's protecting you, you know. Why not start incorporating this, right? To me, it just makes sense. It's benefited my life for sure. I always have gratitude, and I call them in. And when I'm doing my shows before any reading, of course, I'll be not only clearing, but I'll be calling in my spiritual team and the client's spiritual team so that we can all work together. And of course, you do offering of candles and incense and all that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, it's working for me. That's all I can say. So yeah, don't be afraid of it, is what I gotta say.
So how many of these gods do you think are actual real entities, and how many of them do you think that we've created on our own? Right?
I think, it's really come to my attention, or yeah, lately, is I think there's only a few of them. They just have a lot of different names. So I know there's a lot of names out there, this and that, but I think there's only a few of them. And so you can kind of see by the characters, really, that it's probably the same one, right? It's just different names in different parts of the world, different traditions and whatnot. But yeah, no, I do believe that there's real entities. But yeah, like Jesus, for instance, that's now become a thought form. That's definitely an egregore that's real, but that was, made up by all of us putting all our intention into it. So yeah, actually, I don't know if you watch Arwayne Steiger, but that's exactly what we're about to do here, is create an egregore, but a positive, loving thing, that's gonna benefit everyone that's, part of it. So yeah.
That would be the way to do it. I know that there's a science experiment that a group of paranormal investigators done, where they created a ghost, a spirit, and they gave it a name, they gave it a backstory, and then eventually that thing started communicating with them.
There you
And
go.
that's
There
how
you go.
powerful our thoughts and our emotions and our consciousness is that we can basically create something out of nothing.
Well, when you look at doing spells or curses, spelling, you're spelling it out, you're writing it. Okay, you're writing in cursive language. Yeah, we are creating by our words. That's what magic is. We're just doing something and speaking it out. That's what we're doing. And or writing it, because that's also very powerful. You can burn it and release it or whatever, right? That is exactly what we're doing. And so yeah, and even in the Bible, in the beginning, it was the word, wasn't it? The word. By the word there was light. All of a sudden there was light now because he said it. So yeah, it's very powerful. And that's why we have to be mindful of our thoughts, first of all. If negativity comes in, to be mindful and whisk it away. And you definitely don't want to bring it out as words, because now you're bringing it into fruition, into manifestation. So be careful about the words that you use, because it is very powerful. So
Absolutely, and it carries a vibration, right? A certain
does.
vibration whenever you speak it, depending on your mood and the frame of mind that you're in. The words you speak carry a certain vibration that it can affect the environment around you. It can affect people. It can do all kinds of different things. It can affect the mood. And people don't realize that our environment is very, very important. It's integral to our frame of mind as well. If you don't have a good environment, if your space isn't clean, if your space isn't taken care of, if it's not cleared, a lot of times, then it's going to affect your mood. It's going to affect your personality. So it's important to have an open and free environment and a free space to create.
Absolutely. Yeah, I keep telling people that, it's amazing how, if you're very cluttered around you, your mind's going to be cluttered as well. And so if you can just declutter, and yes, clean, and then also use your sage and whatever too. It does literally, it's actually scientifically proven that the sage does kill mold and bacteria and stuff like that in the air. So it literally does clean your air, but also spiritually, energetically as well, but that's sort of the last part of it though. First, you need to declutter and actually physically clean it. and then do your spiritual cleansing. And yeah, you're going to feel like lighter. The whole place is lighter. You're going to feel lighter, and the mood's going to lighten up. And definitely.
Yeah, and rearranging things is important too, like shifting the energy around. When things are stagnant and when they're in the same place for a really long time, the energy gets trapped in there. So it's important to move things around, like move your crystals around, move your furniture around. Even if it's just slightly, it's still switching up the energy to get it flowing again. If it's in the same position all the time, then it gets
Yeah.
stagnant.
So now you're tapping into feng shui. That's sort of the Asian, they tapped into that long time ago, and it does work like it, and so that the energy, and it's all about energy, how it flows in your house, so if you're ever wondering, just look that up, the feng shui way, and see if there's ways that you can rearrange your furniture or whatever so that the energy will flow better if you find that it's kind of dense, so definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my friends, he runs a spiritual shop, and every single day he goes in and he switches up like all of the energy and moves things around and puts things in different spots and rearranges them and puts the crystals in a different pattern, and does different things. And like, hey, that's a really, really good idea. And I happened to ask him, I was like, bro, why do you come in here every day and switch up all this energy? I mean, like, why are you rearranging everything? Why don't you just leave it the same?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I bring a lot of people into my shop and they have a lot of things attached to them.
I was
And
gonna say, yeah, especially a store like that, there's all kinds of people, and they unfortunately carry with them whatever energy wherever they've been. Maybe there was an argument going on. Well, they're bringing that energy into the store, and yeah, they could get trapped, in corners and whatever. So it is very important to move things, and literally you could probably sage underneath and whatever, so that things aren't trapped in there. That's definitely gonna affect the people in there. So yeah, no, he's right. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I think that that's an important thing. And it, it's a really weird, it's the simple things that we could be doing can make a huge difference in our reality, I think, anyway. Like a lot of people are like, oh man, this reality sucks so bad, things are so horrible here. But I think that that's just the state of our reality. That's just the way that it is. There's the good, and then there's the dark, there's the light, there's the, you know what I mean? And that's just how things operate here. It's not that anything is working against you. It's that's just the state of the reality. That's a part of being in this 3D physical reality, is that we have to live within this polarity and this duality that we have here, and we can make it better, right? Like there's like a lot of different conspiracies about everything, like, but are those actual conspiracies, or are they just a part of our reality in that way? And we've conformed to them and we've normalized them to such a degree, and we never went back to change them, like like sunglasses, wearing sunglasses, blocking the sun from hitting your eyes. Sun gazing is a very important thing, and wearing sunglasses is blocking the sun from hitting your pineal gland to help you. I mean, was that originally what sunglasses were designed for? I highly doubt it. I'm sure that it was probably someone annoyed as shit from having the sun in their eyes from driving all the time, or being out and walking around. Or the soles in your shoes, like the rubber in the bottoms of your shoes, is it really to disconnect you from grounding and being on the earth? Or was it the thing that we were working with at the time to protect our feet from the elements?
Yeah, I think yeah, exactly. It was simple as that. I mean, we need shoes to protect our feet. I mean, come on, right? But I mean, not to say that grounding isn't good, like, or earthing, as they call it, yeah, no, you're right. It's the whole conspiracy and the woke community, or whatever you want to call it, got a little out of hand. And, so there is some truth in there, obviously, right? But then yeah, I just got out of hand. I would say I had to step away from that whole thing. I got into that, a few years back, had a whole group and everything going on there. But yeah, I had to step away from that. It's just, there's unfortunately too much infiltration there, so it's just hard to know who's who really in there, so it's where it's important to go inward, and figure it out for ourselves, because we just don't know who's who out there, to be honest, so.
I mean, we're in a 3D physical body, right? Like there's conditions that come along with being in a physical 3D body,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
are inevitable, that are going to happen no matter what.
Mhm.
But we've taken this whole thing to all be hijacked and all positioned against us, when I don't think that it's like that. I think that there's two sides, and the two sides work together. The dark and the light work together in tandem,
Mhm.
and they play off of each other, and that creates polarity and duality, and we have to live within that polarity and duality. I don't know if
Mhm.
that makes sense or not.
Yeah. I mean, we're a spirit that comes here to have the human experience, right? So there's that. And then, you look at nature, there's no good or bad, that's the thing. It's all in perspective, isn't it? You look at nature, like animals who are eating other animals. I mean, is that fox evil now then because he's eating the bunny? Like, it depends on who you talk to now, right? The fox has to eat too. So, like there's no real, good or bad. I don't think it's how your take on it, your perspective of it, and how you go about it, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's exactly what's going on, and we've been programmed to such a degree with the rules of how our society works, and our thought forms, and the way that we're supposed to be
Mhm.
societally and individually, and that's put a banner over us, and it's difficult to look outside of that, and realize those fundamental things, that there isn't necessarily bad or good. It's just it's a neutrality, and the bad and good is a part of being in this 3D physical reality. If you want to live in love, light, peace, and happiness and everything, well, you're not going to be living here,
Mhm.
right? This is a place where you experience
Yeah.
both sides of the spectrum, right? Both extremes:
Mhm.
pain, pleasure,
Mhm.
hate, good,
Yeah.
you know
Because if you
and
don't experience it, how are you going to know what good is if you've never experienced bad, or the difference, like say hot or cold? If you've never been cold, how are you going to, know the difference, what's hot and what's cold, if you've never experienced it, So yeah, definitely. And, like we got to look at it as lessons rather than, oh, why me? Why does it always happen to me? Well, it's because you need that lesson right now. I mean, it's hard when you're in the moment, maybe, but when you can look back and see, like, yeah, okay, that's why that happened, awesome. That's cool. Because got me over to here now, so yeah, I mean, enjoy every moment that you have. That's another thing I keep saying, like not to fret the small stuff and just enjoy all the little things, because that's what makes up the big joy. It's all those little things,
Absolutely. And what, it's the small things that we're going to remember. It's not even the big, huge events. It's the small little details and the small little moments that normally matter the most.
Mhm.
So you've been doing some research into in the history, and doing some about the mud flood and Tataria and stuff like that. Talk to us about what you've discovered about that.
Yeah, so like I said, I woke up, 2015, and I got into all of that, and starting to realize that it's come to me, in the last year, I would say that it looks to me like they've added on 1,000 years. And this whole Tartarian thing, that was something I don't mind you, I wasn't in school that much, so I probably missed it, but I don't remember hearing about that at all. It was Steyer that kind of brought it up. I'm like, hey, like and you start discovering things, how they've lied about history. Basically, most of our history is made up. It's, and obviously it's written by the winners, right? So you're not going to hear too much else. And so you start, looking back into history and realizing that, there's a whole lot more to all of this than we first realized, and so, yeah, it's very interesting. I highly recommend looking into that. Yeah, Tartarian thing.
Yeah, I think it's I've researched a little bit about the world's fairs and how that played a huge factor into what was happening. And there was all these buildings that they magically created in like 2 years, like big, huge cathedrals, big, huge, giant buildings, and in a record amount of time. They had moving sidewalks, they had technology that nobody had ever seen before.
But they've kind of brushed that away. They didn't really teach us that in school, though, did they? That was happening. They kind of
I didn't even
brushed
know.
that over.
I didn't even know about the World's Fairs until like 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, me too. Yeah, exactly. And now it's coming to light, start looking back. I'm like, wait a minute now. Same with Tesla. Tesla didn't invent all those things. That must have been information that he got either from the Tartarian or somehow tapped into that, because that was actually old technology, turns out. So yeah, it makes me also wonder, though, about the whole one world, because apparently the Tartarians were like that. They had the one world government, the one world currency, the one world language and all that, which is what the New World Order wants to implement now. So I don't know. Is it a bad thing? Like, now you got to start questioning everything, right? It's like, because it seemed to be working for them back there. They had all that technology. There was none of this oil and all this stuff, pollution that we got now. And it seemed like that was working. So I'm not sure exactly what took them down. I haven't quite gotten that far yet. I'm still learning and studying this, but yeah, I can't wait to dive more into it.
Probably somebody that I was talking about this on my one of my friends' shows that hasn't released yesterday, about the one world order and all that, and how it might not actually be a bad thing that we want. And I might catch a lot of heat for that, but I mean,
right. Okay, I'm not the only one looking at it that way.
Exactly. I'm glad that you actually brought that up. And I think that it might have been what took it down before was people not wanting, they like the reality the way that it is right now, or the way that it was before. They didn't want the one world order thing, right? Because whenever it's like that, then it ceases to be a polarity. Whenever you have everybody on the same page about something, right? There ceases to be opposition, and then the 3D reality can't operate the same way that it was operating before that, right? So to me, it seems like something came in and was like, no, we want things the way that it was before, to where we have this individuality about ourselves, right? Because we're really special here, that we aren't a part of a unified collective, right? We're individuals here. We have individuality. And I don't think that it's like that in other worlds and in other realities. I think that they all operate off of a collective, a hive mind type of reality, but we don't here. And I think that that's what makes us really special. And I think that there are people that are trying to keep that from happening. They don't want us to be one. They don't want us to operate as one. They don't want us all together. So therefore, they're going to do everything that they can to separate and divide us.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of that. I mean, between religions, we're fighting over religion, we're fighting over skin color, we're fighting over sexual, issues. And it's like, yeah, they're real good at distracting us and keeping us, fighting amongst ourselves here. But it's funny because when you look back, Ronald Reagan, and one of his speeches there at the UN or whatever it was, said that, wouldn't it be funny, if we had an attack from outer space or something like that, then all of a sudden, all of us humans would bond together and work together against this one common threat, so that's very interesting, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that now, but yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or if that's a bad thing. Is the way that the reality is now, is this a bad thing, the way that it is now? I mean, take away all the worldly things that's been happening, exit all that stuff out. Is our reality bad? Like, is it that horrible? And then, well, I mean, if it is, then you would want the one world thing, right? Because you would all want to come together, right? And if it's not, then you would want to keep it the same as what it is. And I'm kind of undecided on which way it should be. I don't know which one is better, because I've come to accept the duality and polarity that we live in. And I think that that's what it would take in order for us to survive the way that things are, the way they are right now, is acceptance of it, and realizing that the things that are happening in this 3D reality is happening because we are in this 3D reality. It's a part of the environment. It's a part of being here, and but if you can't accept that, then the only other way to go is collectively, right? A collective consciousness, a collective hive mind, a one world order, basically.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is that we come into this reality with amnesia. We don't remember where we come from. We don't remember. So the thing is that we don't know what the other way is going to be like. We only know what we're in here right now, right? So, and nobody wants change. Everybody's scared of trying something new, right? Because you just don't know what it's going to be like, So yeah, I don't know. I'm like you. I got mixed bag too, because, I've always been, I don't want the New World Order thing, because that doesn't sound like good. It sounds like a dictatorship. One guy is going to rule the whole world. Although I've also heard the theory, and this is definitely a theory, okay, that the ETs or whatever, don't want to deal with us until we have one leader. They don't want to have to deal with multiple leaders. And I can see that. I totally agree. I would probably be the same way. They want to wait until we're unified. We figured it all out, stop all the fighting, one leader that they can deal with, and that's it. I don't know if that's the case, if that's why they want a New World Order, or what, like, I'd be curious to see what the audience has to say about this as well.
Yeah, I don't. But any ET species that just wants to deal with one person isn't taking into consideration of everybody, right? So are they really for our highest and best good? I would critically and logically think no, right? If they just want one person to dictate and rule and make decisions for everybody on the planet, then they aren't here for our highest and best good. I mean, that's just the way that I see it. It would be a collective decision. Yeah, we can all be together and we can all come together, but not be under the rule of one singular person. I don't know if that makes sense.
I know that does sound kind of scary, because we've seen that in the past. It doesn't work well when that happens. So you can see it from different angles here. Like if you were an outsider, but then again, highest and good. So I would think that they have the highest good in the planet, because if something happens to Earth, it's probably going to affect everything else in the universe. So they probably don't want that. So, but then again, I don't think they probably do take account individuals. We are just like one species, a few thousand here, a few thousand there. They don't give a, it's taking one for the team kind of thing. I think, there's so many of us now that it would be impossible to take 8 billion considerations on this whole planet. It has to be consensus. We have to kind of come to some kind of agreement.
But not if we were operating like a collective consciousness, right? If we were all tapped in to each other and tapped into the planet, like I think that a lot of other races on different planets are. I mean, how would they have been able to overcome all the things that that we're going through right now. They had to go through the process too. So they all had to come together in order to advance their species and become better and create better technology. I mean, that's the way that I'm seeing it, right? Is that they would have had to have come together collectively. And it might not be like a governmental system like it is here on other planets, but they all came together as one. Now, whether that's consciously or governmentally, I'm not really sure, but that had to have happened in order for them to continue to operate and not implode upon themselves and not destroy their entire species. I don't know. That's just the way that I see it.
Yeah, well, we have proof that there's been several other civilizations here before, like Atlantis and a bunch of other. So this isn't our first time around. This is not a first rodeo here. And it does feel like we're kind of on that brink right now, or do or die kind of brink. And we've been there before. And I think that's that feeling that we got inside right now. It's kind of a familiar kind of feeling, so a lot of people are very anxious. There's a lot of, weird energies going on. And collectively, I think we all can all feel it that, here we go again. We're kind of come to a certain point, and we can go one way or the other. I don't know. And then we got amnesia. We don't remember, and that's what we're not really learning anything. All we're doing is remembering from before. So that's another thing too. So it's a very interesting time to be alive. I feel that those of us who are here right now, there's a reason for that. We chose to be here, and we've done this before. Now, hopefully, we'll figure it out this time. Hopefully, we'll make the right choices this time around, and things are going to get better for us rather than worse. Now, another thing too, which is very interesting, is the Georgia Guidestones. Maintain humanity under 500 mil. Like, if we have done that, would this planet be a lot better then? That's what they're suggesting. Now, some people are also another theory that's going on right now, that there might be an extinction level event that's about to happen here. Okay, and it's going to happen no matter what we do. Okay, and that these Georgia Guidestones might be the only thing that's going to be left for humanity that survives, or something, to see if you can just go by this, you should be okay. And I gotta say, I mean, other than that first thing about the 500 mil, all the other things on there, I kind of resonate with. I think, a lot of it is getting rid of the government, all the useless government and politics and all this stuff. I think this place could be a good place, wonderful place, if we could just get rid of a lot of the stuff that's happening right now, because it's not working the way it's going right now. We know that. So
yeah, it hasn't been working, and we keep doing the exact same thing over and over and over again, and expecting some kind of different outcome, and it never
definition of insanity. But yeah,
exactly. That's exactly what's happening. And yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's going to have to be something. If that is their plan, is to do that and keep it under 500 mil. It's going to be a difficult plan, because there's almost 500 million people in the United States alone.
No, I know. So we're talking most of us gone. So I don't know, is it because there is an extinction level kind of thing that's about to happen? We've been hit before. We know that. It really is a miracle that nothing hits us all the time, to be honest. I mean, if you look at it that way, but I don't know. Or is there something else that are they going to purposely depopulate? Now, with what just happened here in the last 2 years, of course, in the beginning, when it first happened, we thought, here we go. That's what they're going to do, and so a lot of us didn't take the medicine because, we thought okay, that's what's going to take us out. Now, that is kind of looking, like a lot of people are getting injured by the medicine. So I think we are kind of partly right, but I don't think it quite worked out the way that they were hoping it was gonna. So that makes us also a little bit worried about what's coming around the corner. What are they planning now? So.
Yeah, I still think that's a part of the plan, and I've said this since the very beginning, when when things aren't going the way that they want it, the best way to do it is to start a war.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to do. It's going to be that's the only way that you get people back on board again. And oh yeah, war, we got to
Oh, it
go fight
worked in
and kill
World War
people.
II. Yeah. You look at, because in the 30s we had the famine, it was horrible. Right. So, and then the good war, and then all of a sudden everything was fine. So if they're it kind of looks like that's what they're playing out, which means that the famine is coming. Okay. There, which we already know. Biden's
We
already
see
said
that
that
right now.
yeah, yeah, you can see. I mean, my daughter-in-law, who's not awake, just showed me a bunch of shelves. There's none of her cereal is available on the shelves. It's all empty. So we're already seeing it. It's coming, unfortunately. So if you haven't prepped already, don't panic, but start getting a little bit extra here and there. You got to get going on that. It's never too late. But so famine, and then followed by a war, and then whatever that that seems to be what's playing out right now. So
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
that's the only way that it can go. I mean, all this can't just happen with no grand finale and no finish to the chaos. Like they've
Like
already
they
stretched it
say,
out as long as they possibly can stretch it out. And I mean, it might be in a couple of more years. It might be another year or another 2 years, but I believe that it's coming 100%. I'm not about dates or times or whatever, but that's
no.
the only option that we have. That's the only thing that's been missing from this equation. And it's what they've done every single time.
Mhm.
And when you look back in history, that's the way that they do it. It's always a war. There's going to be a war, and
But famine first, because you got to break us down, right? So that we're so hungry and desperate. And then the war, and then it's all good. Yeah. So then we're all on board then. Because if we're all hungry, especially, parents watching the kids go out, yeah, you're going to comply. You're going to do whatever to
well, it's
get this.
also a way to blame it on something else, right? Well, you can
Yeah.
blame the famine on the war, right?
Right.
You can blame the deaths on the war and not something else.
Right.
Yeah.
For all the deaths that are about to occur.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right.
it's a blame game. They're
Yeah.
never going to take
Covering it up.
responsibility. Yeah.
It's like a dog, he's covering up his stuff. Yeah. Let's cover up a little bit of famine, a little bit of war. That's it. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just that's their playbook,
Yeah.
and they've been doing it. Whenever you look back through history, you can see
Yeah.
the patterns and the patterns of behavior and how they operate and what the next move is. It's not that I'm psychic or know anything. I've just looked at the past and I've seen the repeating cycles of how it goes, and
Mhm.
that's the next cycle. And you're totally right about the famine thing. I mean, what did we expect was going to happen? Like it's an inevitability. Like you just shutting everything down for 2 years. Like you think that everything's just going to operate the way that it was the previous 2 decades. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think so. Like
No.
things
No.
have to break
I mean,
down.
we got to look at the dollar. Everything is crashing. Like when in the beginning of the year, people ask me, what's 22 going to be looking like? All I need is one tarot card, and that's the Tower. And that's exactly what's happening. That's what 22 is all about. Everything is about to crumble. I believe that the dollar and the financial thing will probably be crumbling by September or around September, somewhere in there. It goes by dates, guys. It goes by, and the Bible is a good indicator. There's a lot of gems in there that you can learn from. And so that's why we got the September thing, because we got the Shemitah thing coming up. There's so many things that are lining it all up. And so, yeah, it's about to just crumble, and then we can start anew. Now, I am positive for the future. I think that this planet could be an awesome place to live. And if we could just bring back the Tesla, stuff and figure it out. I don't know exactly what the answer is to what a paradise would look like, honestly, but definitely it's going to be better than what it is now. We just got to be prepared for that. rough patch that's about to come here with between famine and war. So
yeah, we've been concentrating on the wrong things, right? We've been concentrating on our technology and not a better way of life, right?
exactly.
If we would have put all of our time, effort into evolving our way of life, like we have put into evolving our technology, right? We're still using all the same shit, Nina. The only thing that's changed has been our technology and our phones and our computers and TVs. Everything else is the same. We're
Yeah.
still using the same cars. We're still using the same boats, same trains, same planes. It's all
I
the
know.
same thing.
That's come to my attention too. When I'm looking back, like I just look back at some old footage from when my grandparents came to Canada the first time, whatever. It's the same plane as what we are traveling in now. Like it hasn't really evolved, which is really weird. And you look back to the cartoons, like the Jetsons. We all thought as kids that, oh yeah, by the time the 20s came around, we're all going to be, this, that, and the other thing, which we haven't. We haven't evolved at all. They gave us a little bit of info, but that's it. They haven't gotten us anymore. And it's probably a reason for that, but yeah, no, you're right. So we're at a standstill here as far as that goes. So
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is due to the suppression of technology, not like phone technology and not, computers and stuff like that. We have all that, that's basically gotten as far as it's going to get, and I think it's more about the other technologies, the free energy devices, the healing devices, the anti-gravity devices, all of these different things that's been hidden and only a select few people have access to them. And I think that that's what a lot of this is all about, is the suppression of the real technology. And we're only getting a very, very small fraction of that, with our phones and communication devices.
Yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, this thing here is not served. It's not serving humanity at all. If anything, we are actually losing everything that humanity stands for. Like you'll go into a restaurant, and you'll see people sitting there eating dinner. They're all texting. Nobody's looking and communicating with it. They're probably even texting each other across from the table. They'd rather do it there because they can have their emojis and all this, rather than actually having human contact. The young people are losing the ability to read body language or be, and they're way more socially awkward now than were before. Like we were socially awkward a little bit, right? Every teenager is. But now a guy, I don't think a guy could go up and ask a girl out now without this. They would do it through here. That would be it. Yeah, so we are actually losing our humanity, like the beauty about humanity, really. Our basic foundations of humanity is being lost because of this. And people are walking around, they're actually, bumping into things because they're not looking up. Nobody's looking up anymore. The next generation is all going to have osteoporosis in their backs and whatever else. And like I wish I didn't have that phone. Like has not. I'd rather have that phone attached to the wall like I had it before. If I need it, I'll use it, but it's not something that I'm a slave to. And same with the whole, like we were, talking about drama and stuff like that. Like we never had that kind of drama before because we didn't have all these stupid, chat groups and all this kind of stuff. Like it's not for the betterment of humanity, I think. Anyways, it's not. I rather not have it myself, but.
Yeah, and then just the fact of being able to be in contact with somebody 24/7, through text or through messaging and all that. Like, what is that? Like, that was never the way. It's not giving you a time to live your life and do the things that you need to take care of.
I know people get upset. I know. I texted you an hour ago. Where are you? I'm like, what? My phone's been somewhere. I don't check my phone. Yeah. And then they get upset. Now you got a whole drama situation going on all of a sudden. It's like, yeah, leave me a message. I'll get back to it whenever, it's it's not bringing out the best, I would say, but
it's not. It's definitely, it's hurting our community. It's hurting our establishments, and it's really not letting people live their lives to be able to do what they want when they want, right? Because they always have
Yeah.
somebody, you know, breathing down their neck basically 24/7. And that's okay if you want that.
Mhm.
Perfectly all right if you want that. But if you want a break and then people get like
Yeah.
butthurt about it, like that's a whole other scenario. Like, don't paint
Mhm.
me into your corner because uh you don't have anything going on.
Mhm.
You know, we have lives, we got to do stuff, you know, got things going on, things happening. We can't constantly be on the phone texting and
No.
messaging people all day.
Well, that's the thing. Like, where everything is half-assed now, So yeah, because I notice people are bringing these to work as well. So they're not really like we have security guards here. They're constantly. They're not even looking around to see if there's a bad guy around. They're on the phone the whole time as they're walking by. It's like everybody's like that though, and so yeah, I mean, you're not living life at all. At all. You're not even paying attention to what's around you at all. Even the security guard. That's literally his one job that he has to do is look around as he was. No, there's on the phone. So yeah, it's really, yeah. So the technology that we had, I mean, some of it is great. It was great to have a phone. Okay, it's great to be able to call somebody and whatever. That's all. For emergencies and all. That's great. But the cell phone, no thanks. And then the radiation that you're holding up against you all the time, that's not good for you either. You know.
Yeah,
So
even being on our body, even sleeping
yeah,
beside of it, even
I know.
it being close to you, being in your pocket,
Mm-hmm.
it's producing an electromagnetic field that is not that's in opposition to our natural human resonance, the natural electromagnetic field that we put off as a human being. It's
Mm-hmm.
in direct opposition to that, and it's hurting us.
Exactly. Yeah, going back to earthing and all that, I highly recommend, put your phone away, get out in the forest, away from all the radiation and Wi-Fi and all of that, and do a different connection, connect with nature, connect with your spiritual team, and that kind of thing. Meditate, take your shoes off, take a nice deep breath, and relax. It's stressful. Like this thing here is stress. You're at work, so you're half-assing at work. Then you come home, you're not really having a real connection with your friends and family either, because you got to do it here as well at the same time, which means that you're not really fully anywhere. You're half-assing everything in your life. And then you wonder why you're miserable. Why do I not feel connected? Why do I, well, get off the freaking phone, for one,
Yeah, and
but
have some natural interactions with people. It's
yeah,
exactly like what you
eye
said. People,
contact,
yeah,
handshakes, like and
yeah,
with the last 2 years now, that is unfortunately taken. The little bit that we had is gone. Like chivalry
gone.
is gone now, because a guy's not going to open the door for you because he's scared of getting germs now. So now he'll actually step away and let you open the door because he don't want to touch nothing. So now, and handshakes, that's gone. It's all just, whatever now. And, and then the eye contact too, because you're wearing this muzzle. Nobody wants to look up anymore. So that little bit of humanity that we had 2 years ago, that's kind of gone now. So we really have to be mindful of this and reprogram ourselves to go back to become a human again. We're not some slave behind a mask. We're not some slave behind the screen. Okay, we're humans. We're supposed to have interactions, touch each other, human contact. You know how important that is?
Yep.
So now that we've gone through it, we got spring and summer here. I urge you guys to get out there, go out and have some fun, socialize, and get together again. No more texting. Go and call her, go and see her, drive to her house, knock on the door and say, hey, how you doing? Instead of texting her. Don't text her first, give her a hug. You get out there, go and do things, have fun. Yeah.
And
Yes.
spontaneously do things too.
Yes.
I don't feel like
Yeah.
people just spontaneously do anything anymore. Like
No,
they
no,
always
they don't.
ask for permission for something, or oh hey, can I come over, instead of just showing up. That was the
Yeah.
most fun part about growing up and kind of being a kid, was that things just randomly spontaneously happened, and you always felt awesome whenever a random friend would show up at your house and be like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, let's go do
Let's
something.
go
You'd be like,
out. Let's
yeah.
go out and have fun. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Now when the doorbell rings, everybody gets scared. Oh my God. Even when the phone rings, I'm like, somebody actually wants to contact me. Oh my God. Like, seriously. And I felt it myself. Like, I'm not immune to this either.
Oh yeah, me either.
Back in the day, it was the other way around. When the phone rang, we're like, oh my God, you know, because it used to be, yeah, knock on the door. Hey, what are you doing? Let's go out and, you know, hang out and whatever. Yeah, no, we really need to reprogram that and get back to just being human, having fun and spontaneous, you know, and yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree 100%. And it's completely disconnected everybody
Yeah.
from the way that reality actually works, you know, and it's very upsetting and unfortunate that we've let it get that far, you know what I mean? But I mean, there's not really anyone to blame but us. Like it's really our fault. You know, we bought into it. We took the bait. We did it. We thought that this was going to be a better reality for everyone, but it turns out that it really wasn't. You know, it's a deception. Everything has been inverted. Everything that we think is good is actually bad. Everything that we think is bad is actually good. And sometimes it's vice versa. And it's just having the awareness to realize what's going on, and you know, using common sense and critical thinking. I mean, hey, that's the best tools that you got. That's the best spiritual tools that anybody can possibly have, is common sense, critical thinking.
Unfortunately, common sense is not as common as you think, but we can try and bring it back, because I think this is kind of our role here is by talking about it. That's the first thing we need to do, and so that other people can listen and be like, oh yeah, they got a point here, you know, and hopefully that's going to be of help of some sort, right, to people. And yeah, bring back common sense, critical thinking. Exactly. Just because they say doesn't mean that you have to go along with it. You know, it's okay to be a rebel. As a matter of fact, rebels are the ones that make change, you know, and that's what we need, you know. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Nina, for coming on my show. I really appreciate you. Where can people find you if they would like to get a hold of you, contact you? Now is your time to plug anything that you would like to.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure having you on my show. So if you guys go to my YouTube, Nina the Mystic, I'm all over the place. You'll see Ryder did his 3 presentations there. I got it under a playlist there on YouTube. But the best place is just ninathemystic.net. That's my webpage. All my links for social media, whatnot is in there, except for Odysee. And I am kind of moving there now. I'm actually started going live for the first time on Odysee on Friday. I'm moving one of my shows over there. I kind of want to slowly get off of YouTube. It's just not serving me really over there. So try something new, you know. So if you guys want to follow me on Odysee, that would be cool. That's where we can go and talk about this kind of stuff there. We don't have to worry about censorship. Actually, we can talk about more than what we just talked about here. This is fluff tube stuff that we just talked about here. So over on Odysee, we can get into, you know, a whole lot more, whether it be spiritual stuff or truther stuff or whatever, right, that's going on. I think it's all kind of mixed in together now. I don't think they're separate anymore. I think it's all, yeah, so all the communities can kind of come together and we can discuss various things, I think, you know. So yeah, check me out. Yeah, ninathemystic.net, and then of course on YouTube, and I'm all on all the social media there. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Nina. I appreciate you a lot. Wonderful discussion. The links to Nina's information will be in the description of this video. Go over there and check out her work. For everyone else, thanks for watching and listening. Much love to everyone in the chat. Please be sure to hit the thumbs up button to help the channel out in the YouTube algorithm. Share, subscribe, hit the bell icon as well for notifications. The link to my channel on Odysee is in the description. Hit the follow button over there. Like Nina said, you know, as a backup, we need these backup you know, platforms. And you can also catch this episode and any of my other episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcasts. And you can download them individually on Spreaker.com directly to your device for free. Links are in the description. And remember, we're not only in a spiritual war, but a war on humanity. Stay aware, stay alert, keep love in your heart for everyone. Stay safe out there. And if you can see through the illusion, you are the solution. See you guys next time.